docs. Just set up your phone and record. Hold on. Record you. Okay. And when you record yourself, now you don't have to, all you're doing is documenting. You're not creating content, you're documenting. So just something to think about. All right, we're gonna get busy here in a second. Welcome to this place. All right. I have your bio. I'm just gonna tell them what I know. Tell them what I know. How wonderful you are. Welcome, get in here. I am the doctor. Tonight, we got something good coming. Yes. All right, let me get this done. All right. Okay, y'all. Welcome. I'm Coach Ken, aka the Doctor, and tonight we got a great show. So what we're gonna do is wait till people get in, but I would like to know where you calling from. Tell me who's on. Hey, Conchetta. What's that? Caitlin from Alabama. All right, welcome. What's up, Sonia? Oh, I love you so much. Good to see you, hon. You have the most wonderful spirit in the whole world. All right, in the whole world. So thank you all for joining. I just want to make sure that we have everybody. So tell me where you call. Chanel is calling from Nolens, Louisiana. Let's see. Hey, Cassandra. What's up, Casper? Monique in the building. We got Keisha from Miami. We got Trisha from Atlanta. All right, we got, I know, Casper, you from Phoenix. All right, y'all, where you calling in from? We got Nina from North Kakalaki, my home state right now. All right, I love it in North Kakalaki. Sonia, we got Sonia Brown Hodges from New York City. Listen, thank you guys for joining tonight. We got a good one tonight. I got a special guest, and she is awesome. If the doctor says she's awesome. Hey, Iris. All right, Iris from G Borough in the building. Teal from Raleigh-Durham in the building. All right, y'all. Listen, invite your friends, family, put the kids to bed because we might talk some grown folk talk tonight. Daisy from Pittsburgh, PA. I feel you. Welcome. I often say, hey, Kimmy. I often say, hey, Kim. Let's see, what is it? What is that? OCNJ, Maryland from OCNJ. I don't know what that is. Is that New Jersey, a part of New Jersey? Okay. All right. Alicia from the A. All right, y'all. So you could be anywhere in the world, but you are here with me tonight, and I don't take that for granted, and I thank you for that. I appreciate you. And okay, Connecticut. Kim Dawson from Connecticut. Sherlyn from Brooklyn, New York. So tonight I have a special guest. So what I'm doing, y'all, long story short, I'm taking a 8-week sabbatical from my coaching. No more, I'm not doing any group coaching for 8 weeks because I'm creating a program. And the name of the program, first of all, let me tell you what the program is. I created the program, it's a communication program to show women how to communicate with men. It's a program to show them how to really use communication to get to know someone. And in the program, you guys know that I talk about collecting data. But most people don't know how to collect data. They don't know what that means. They've never done it before. So I created this communication course. It's called Don't Say That Shit, okay? Using the right words to get the right man. And what I'm doing, I'm teaching stuff that people have never heard before on how you say. I got a section in the course that says what he said, what you heard. And this is going to be deep. And so I'm going to teach people how to truly get to know someone and how to get to know them in a way that where it doesn't look like you're interrogating them and the man doesn't feel like you're interrogating them, but you get excuse me, you get deeper below the surface. And that's what I want to do there. And part of this program, I am going to have experts in there who are experts at communication. And one of the experts who's going to be in my program is on the show tonight. And she is dope. And so I'm going to read a little bit of her bio. You know how us speakers, coaches, we got all kinds of long bios. So I'm going to read the short version of hers. But it says, her name is about Paula Sheppard is an ICF certified and credentialed business coach, leadership mentor, speaker, and the host of her highly rated podcast, The Confidence Sessions. I've been on that podcast, by the way. She is passionate about helping business owners, teams, and organizations empower their people and become more engaged by creating a culture that encourages them to speak up, speak up, knowing they are seen and heard. Now, it says Paula has helped hundreds of highly educated and purpose-driven people to courageously communicate, disrupt the status quo. Listen, y'all, I want y'all to help me to welcome Miss Paula Sheppard. All right, Paula.
Oh my gosh!
Hey there.
Where's the
How are you?
All the hype.
Listen, you know, we've done this before, okay? I got to turn on my camera, my video, because I record everything I do. And so when I record it, I want to make sure that I have all the content that you're going to give, I'm going to get, and we're going to make it work. So I wanted to, let me do this. Boom.
Hey, I see all the welcomes. Hello, hello. And I heard
they love you. They love you already.
Ocean City. I'm from Maryland, so I get it. I vacationed in Ocean City, Maryland.
Okay. So Paula, tonight we're going to talk about, I think the title of this, we titled this how to communicate with a man, how to communicate with a man effectively. And it's for a lot of women who don't know. A lot of women, we've never been trained on how to communicate. We've never been trained, you know, and the funny thing is people, if I ask 10 people, survey, say 100 people, right? And I ask them, I would ask them, are you good at communication? And many of them will say, sure, I'm great at it. And then I will ask them things about communication. And then they would say, well, I don't do that. Or that's not the way I operate. And then I would say, well, you're not as great at communication as you probably think you are. And so I wanted to, as you know, I'm putting together this program. And what I wanted to do was bring on somebody who was an expert at communications. So I want you to tell the people before we get started how you got here. How you became who you are. Don't let me read a bio and that be that. I want you to tell them how you got here, how you became this confidence coach, because you are dope, and I've been on your podcast before. But I want them to meet you in your own words.
Oh, okay. So, first and foremost, I worked in corporate America for almost 2 decades. And I worked with a whole bunch of men, and I was basically one of the only women there. And it was very difficult for me in a lot of ways because I didn't know how to communicate with other people. And I silenced myself to make other people and myself more comfortable in so many ways. So I could see how then my frustration would bubble up as a result. And I would say all of these things, but I wasn't really evoking any change. And when I decided to leave corporate America, I really realized and honed in on what those skills were and how I use them to help teams more effectively communicate. Well, at the crux of that is what? Relationships, right? If we're not talking to ourselves, we're talking about relationships and how do we interact with each other, starting with ourselves, right? Did you notice how I made that about me and I didn't make it about other people? Because that's where it starts. It starts right here. The other thing is, from a personal perspective, is I have been married multiple times, and my now husband, who I've been married to for almost a decade, he's stuck with me. But
he's stuck with you.
Prior to that, I had many relationships where I kept repeating the same cycle again, and I recognized that the common denominator wasn't that I kept choosing people who were jerks or, deadbeats, or there was something wrong with that person. They definitely weren't a good match for me, but I was picking the wrong person because I was not showing up as myself and I was not communicating well. I was being someone else and then essentially bait and switching and not understanding why it wasn't working. And when I figured that out, now I've got my match, right? But that's
Wow.
so from both sides of it, right? From a business standpoint and also from a personal standpoint, I really had to look at it from the inside out, not from communication of how am I going to say this thing to make this person do this and be persuasive, but more, how can I be more of myself and communicate more of that from the very start so I don't wind up in a situation where I have to try to change someone.
So here's my question, though. I like what you said about I can be myself. Let me wake up one day and just be myself, and I begin communicating authentically. Here's a problem, though. And so, how do you handle this one? Someone who's never been taught how to communicate effectively, and their authentic self is abrasive or non-effective because they're not getting their point across. They're sending a message, but that message is not being received in the way that they want people to receive it. So what do you tell a person in that case?
Yeah, I'm in that case, what are your expectations? Because now we're talking about detachment, right? We're talking about detachment in a relationship. And are they truly abrasive, or are they just getting their way because they're not communicating well because they don't understand their own needs?
Okay.
We have an expectation that we'll just say in this instance that the man will know exactly what you want and the woman behaves in a way that's aggressive or assertive. And I'm totally, if my husband's hearing me on the other side of this wall, he could be like, yeah, you do that too, because we all have to learn, right? Like we're not perfect and we all have to learn.
Right.
So, but if someone is being aggressive, the first step is self-awareness, right? You
Okay.
can't change what you don't know. And so you
Mm.
have to be a willing participant. You have to be willing to say, something isn't working. I continue to harp on XYZ and LMNOP matter, and nothing changes. Okay, let me get curious about what's actually happening here. One, what do I want to be happening? Two, what am I trying to say? And three, how am I saying it? And if you take a minute to reflect on those three things, you give yourself the opportunity to have some clarity, right? Because we can't change what we don't know. And from there, you can let your guard down a little bit. You can be less aggressive and turn that into assertiveness, right?
Okay. So let's talk about that part.
Mhm.
Turning aggression or perceived aggression, because many times it may not be aggression, perceived aggression into assertiveness. So let's talk about the fine line from what that is, because some people feel like they're misunderstood, and some men that I coach feel like some women, not all, because I don't want to get into that whole thing. And people, just like today, people will say you put up a video and you said all. I didn't say damn all. I said men. I didn't clarify it all. But anyway, I digress. So so my point is anyway. Damn, I lost my damn point.
Aggressive versus assertive.
Right. There you go. There you go. So how do you tell people how to manage that?
Yeah.
Or navigate that?
So you know that your goal is being assertive when it has to do with respecting yourself. Okay? So if you
That's
respect
good.
Yeah. So assertiveness is, I think of it like this. You have to have your own personal values. And from that is an extension to your personal standards, right? So I know, Ken, you talk a lot about your personal brand, who you are essentially as a human being. If you can understand that and you know what you will stand for no less than in whatever capacity, right? And you feel as though someone is not respecting or appreciating your standards, and you are asking for an opportunity to speak, that is being assertive. That is asking for what you need, is a form of self-advocacy. If you are being aggressive, you are coming at it with anger, right? There's a lot of chaos in the background. You probably have a lot of anxious feelings around that, but you don't really have a point other than to likely be right, right?
Wow.
Or to be heard for the sake of being heard, not because you aren't being heard and you've tried and someone is stepping on your like pushing your boundaries and essentially testing your standards.
Wow. Okay. Okay. I buy that. Now, let me ask you this. So you have a program where you talk about bold communication, like bold meaning, well, let's talk about what that means. Bold meaning what?
Yeah. So let's talk about what it isn't. So it is not about standing on your soapbox and just saying whatever you feel like saying. So being bold is you can think of it as being intertwined with being courageous. These are saying the things that you've said a million times in your head, but you haven't gotten out loud. So think about it in terms of a relationship with a partner. Sometimes we say something in our minds, but we don't say it out loud. And we have the expectation that they will know or understand what it is that we're trying to communicate. They're not mind readers. We all know this, but yet for some reason, we keep hoping that they're going to get it, right? Like what we say in our head is going to come out, and it doesn't. And so the most important thing for us to do is to say the words that we've said in our mind a million times. Now, I'm going to caveat that with being bold doesn't mean being a jerk. Okay. We still need to respect other people's boundaries. So what are the words that you want to say? What are the things that you haven't addressed that you have the expectation that the other person already knows and can read your mind about? And how can you now form that into a thought that allows you to advocate for yourself and be assertive, again, without being aggressive? So it's all intercombined, but it is about being courageous, because so many women are scared to say the things that they want to say because they're afraid that they're going to jeopardize the relationship. And that happens in intimate relationships. It happens in work relationships, right? We're afraid that we're going to drive people away when we stand up for ourselves in ways that we deserve, that align with our personal standards and values.
And one of the things that I say a lot of times women don't say it. And really what they do is they actually plant a seed of resentment because they look at the person that they're wanting to say these things, and they never say it and they suppress it. That seed grows into resentment. And then, so what I do when I coach people, I say, let's break down why it is you don't want to say it. Number one, the first reason is acceptance. You believe that the person will accept you better if you send your representative, allow your representative to speak on things that you think they might find acceptable. The second reason is abandonment. People feel like if they say something that the other person doesn't feel comfortable with, they might get abandoned. The person might just walk away. And that's the trick of the beauty of it all. If the person walks away and you're being authentic, then acceptance and abandonment doesn't matter anymore. Because the authenticity if you're authentic, you will attract the kind of people in your life that will help you flourish. Me being authentic, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I find that out every day I put out a video. But me being authentic attracted you, attracted many people on this call. And everybody, when we get to the point that we say, my authenticity is more important than anything else, I will attract those who are in alignment with me. And that's what I did.
Well, those are the people that have natural charisma, right? Those are the people that are not faking it. And I'd like to, for a second, just talk about authenticity, because I think it is such a buzzword and it gets used and thrown around all the time. But what does it actually mean?
Okay.
And it really means to be genuine. And so many of us think we are being genuine. And I actually just recorded a TikTok video about
this.
My first TikTok video.
I am so proud of you.
So thanks for the push there, Ken. But here's what it's about, right? Like a quick two question test to decide whether or not you are truly being authentic. The first thing is, are you overthinking, over scripting, right? Over communicating in ways that are trying to make the other person feel more comfortable or you to feel more comfortable, because that is
Mm.
people pleasing. The minute you step into people pleasing mode, you are already, and overthinking, you are already not being authentic. Okay. So if you're
Wow.
recording something over and over and over again because you're not getting it right, that is a form of people pleasing. Already, big X. We are no longer being authentic. The second thing is, if you are considering how you should behave or show up in a particular environment, doesn't matter whether it's the grocery store, the coffee shop, date night, hanging out with your girlfriends, whatever it is at work. If you are trying to decide how you should act in a particular place in order to fit in and belong, you are no longer being authentic. Right. So
Wow.
if you
Wow.
one of two of those questions you answer, yes, I am doing those things, you know that you need to check yourself for a moment. And you just say, why am I doing that? And it's that never ending why, right? Like why? Keep asking why until you get to the bottom of it. And
Wow. Now
ultimately,
say
you
those
will
two
find yourself.
questions again. So
Yeah.
for anybody who didn't get them, authenticity is you know you're not being authentic, or you know you are being authentic when you can answer yes to these questions. Would you repeat those,
Yeah.
please?
So if you answer yes to these questions, you know that you are not being authentic. So number one is you are overthinking, over scripting, or over communicating, right?
Overthinking, over scripting, or over communicating.
Right.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So that
Script out what I'm saying. Okay,
Yeah,
go
so
ahead.
you're sending a text message and you're trying to send exactly the right thing. Maybe it's the beginning of a relationship, or maybe you're in a
Oh,
heated argument and you're trying to say the right thing, right?
right.
There's an example. The other end of that is, how are you behaving? Are you showing up in a way to make other people feel more comfortable, or so that you feel like you fit in better? Maybe you're the kind of person that feels like you like to have fun, and you like to let loose, and you like to wear, leopard print like I do. I'm not wearing it today, but I have a cup. So, but maybe that's what you want to do, right? Like you're showing up in a way where you feel like I should do this. Any yes to either one of or both of those questions means you are not being authentic, right?
Wow.
Because you're
Wow.
people pleasing. You really are not being yourself. If you're going into the closet and you're trying to decide, what should I wear tonight? What is everybody else going to wear? I don't know. That's not being authentic. It's something that simple.
Wow. Amazing. And I find that, and do you tell me, do you find this? Part of not saying what it is you feel or what it is you believe, is that a form of people pleasing?
Yes. 100%.
So the person who wants to say something, so what advice would you give someone who says, there are things that I want to say, right? And I'm holding it in, and I'm always the one biting my tongue. I'm always the one not saying it. How do I approach that? How do I get the courage? What do I do?
Yeah. So this is my number one strategy whenever somebody says, I don't know why this isn't working, I don't know why I can't say this thing, is you just have to get curious. You need to
Hmm.
spend a little bit of time with yourself, asking yourself why. And I know that seems really basic, but some of the most profound changes happen with some basic questions. So asking yourself, being kind to yourself and saying, why am I not saying this? Are you afraid? Do you not feel safe or comfortable? Do you not feel like you belong? And then addressing that question and asking why. And so the more you can dig into that, the easier it is for you to release it, because it may have absolutely nothing to do with that other partner. It may be something that happened over the course of time, and you've now carried this habit with you. Right. And the way you do one thing is how you do everything. Of course, I didn't come up with that quote, but it is so absolutely true.
It
So
is.
if you grew up in a family, for instance, where you didn't speak up, or it wasn't okay for you to have the say, and you just had to listen to your parents and do what you were told, and you couldn't have a voice, it's very likely that you're showing up in your relationships in your now adult life that way, where you're biting your tongue, you're keeping things close, and you are trying to be in a position where you're pleasing that other person because you don't want them to leave, or you want them to think a certain way about you. Or sometimes you're holding on to that because you know that this person isn't for you, but you're afraid of what everyone else would think if you were to jeopardize that relationship.
Wow, that's deep right there, because we do many times base the things that we would do, even if I found that even if things are detrimental to our emotional, mental, and physical well-being, we will forego ourselves for the sake of looking a certain way around other people. And that to me, because I don't do that, um, that's just I do a whole bunch of other shit that's wrong sometimes, but that's one of the things that I don't do wrong. I will say what it is I believe, and I've been that way just because as I was growing up, my dad always gave me permission to be authentic. I think, and I'm about to say something that's really profound. When I was young, my dad and mom celebrated the fact that I was different, celebrated the fact that I talked all the time, even in school. I got great grades, but I'm always and the teachers would always say, he's always talking to the other students. Like, I would finish my work, but I want to talk. And my dad and mom would never say, don't talk. Here's what they would say: talking is good. You get to communicate. You get to learn about other people. However, don't do it in that setting. And so what they did was they nurtured the fact that I was a communicator, that I was an active communicator with various people, but they never stifled it by saying, just shut up. Do you notice I just said the word shut up, and doing and communicate at different times, act differently? My brain perceived it different. And so thus I get paid to speak, so that's funny.
I mean, I was a talker too, so I completely understand where you're coming from.
Right. So I got something here. So here's what I want to know. All right. You've been teaching communications. What is the toughest challenge you have when you're dealing with people, when you're coaching people? And I know you coach people on confidence, and a lot of people are lacking in the area of confidence. And that's a thing that you acquire. We have confidence in certain areas and some we don't. So what would you say the toughest things, the biggest problems that people come to you with, biggest challenges?
So I see a lot of real high achieving people who are people pleasers, right? So they've spent most of their life not saying the things that they wanted to say. And I'm talking really educated people that then also don't have a connection to relationships. So that's really difficult. I think you can get to know yourself all you want to, but how do you practically apply that when you then have a conversation with somebody else, or get into a relationship with someone else, right? You can't have these two pillars that never touch. You have to know who you are, you have to respect who you are, and then you also have to detach from any kind of control, right? Communication is a form of control in a lot of ways with people, so that they can also be their own person, right? It's that understanding and letting go of the need to control the way the conversation or the actual action carries out or plays out.
Cassandra says, this is totally me. The struggle is real.
I feel you. You're not alone. You're really not alone.
And so as a coach, though, you've been charged with the mission, if you will, to interrupt that pattern, if you will. And what is the first step in this process of interrupting the pattern if I've been doing this my whole life?
Yeah. Well, you can't change anything until you change yourself, right? So you
Right.
are the catalyst for the change. So the first step that I start with is, I mean, everything that I do is based on voice. So the first thing is your inside voice, right? Most women, right? This happens for all people, but I'm just going to generalize here for women. Most women cannot describe themselves within 5 words that have nothing to do with anyone else, right? This isn't like, I'm really good at taking care of other people and I'm a giver. No, I want to know who you are. And so
Wow.
really acquainting yourself with you, right? Not with the way the world sees you, not with the way that people have projected things on you, but how do you see you? If you can strip all of that away. That is our very first step. And so there's a little bit of mindset in there, but truly it's let's dig underneath the surface and let's figure out who do you think you are? Which sounds like it
Wow.
might be easy, but it is not. I mean, it's not a simple process to figure out who you are when you're buried under things that other people have said to you or said about you over time.
True. So you say 5 adjectives that describe me? A 5
I,
word
I asked for
5 words?
5. I just say, give me 5 words that describe you that have nothing to do with anyone else.
Okay. Asshole. This I'm just using my wife's words. Overbearing. No, I'm just joking.
They gotta be
But
your words, right?
yeah, right. All right, my words. All right.
You already failed.
Okay, the man, charismatic. I got you. No, but I do agree with that. Wow, that's a great exercise. And I agree when you say it starts with you. There are people out there, and I've coached them, you've coached them, that want to change. They want to make a change, and they want to attract an opposite. It could, guys or ladies want to attract the opposite sex. But when they get in the environment, they get scared to death. They don't know what to say, what to do. I've seen super educated people get in an environment where okay, somebody said answer the 5, sir. I'm gonna give no. Okay, I'm gonna give you. I do know 5 about myself. All right, here's one: educated, charismatic, empowering, um, athletic. I would say athletic too, and I would say overbearing too. I would say enthusiastic. I would say loud. I would say endearing. I would say, since I can give you a lot of words that describe me, but I think the most important word that describes me is I am I am an empower an empower. I empower people, but that's who I am though. That's what I am. Like I am enlightenment describe. It's not
I would say
that
you
all of those
empower,
things.
that's what you do
Okay,
versus that's who you are.
so the adjectives would be let's see. I want to use motivational. Is that an adjective though? You gonna not let me get away with that
I
one?
mean, I think you gave us some really great ones
I did
already.
I
You've
get,
got the
but
running list, but I think you are, you can be motivating, right? You can be
yeah,
empowering. You can be a helper. But the things that you described about yourself, you're enthusiastic, right? You're dynamic. You're
yes,
fun.
I'm
You're athletic,
courageous.
right?
I'm a visionary. So yeah, okay, I got you. I got you. I like that. That's a super good exercise. Okay. I lost my train of thought because I one of the things I believe in is I cannot ever say something that I'm unwilling to do. I will not. That is the thing about me. I will not. So she's like, name 5, sir. I'm like, I'm gonna give you 5 then. So because I cannot, I don't know what that is. Well, I do know what that is. I would when I came up, one of the things my dad instilled in me again, and I keep talking about my dad today. I don't know what it is because he's gone on, but I was telling my wife something. So, and let me tell you how I got to this, and this is gonna go back to what you do. So today I had a video that went viral on Instagram. I've had several videos that go viral on TikTok, even Facebook. But it went viral on Instagram because this big organization posted it. And so a lot of people who had not had any knowledge of me, access to me, had never heard of me, was all of a sudden pushed toward the content that I have. Now you got to understand, I'm a polarizing person. I realize that. I say things that some people don't like, some people get triggered by. I'm perfectly fine with that. I love that, actually. And what happened was, so in the comment sections, you have a lot of people to say, hey, we love you. This is great. And then you had a percentage, maybe 10% or less, probably less, who said, this is bullshit. You're pandering. You're a little bitch. I mean, seriously. So, but here's the thing, though. What I do, instead of me attempting to fight them and try to persuade them to my way of thinking, here's what I did. Oh, thank you. I'm glad. Thank you for watching the video. I said, I respectfully disagree with you. I believe this, and here's why. I'm able to communicate what I believe. All right. And a lot of people are unable to communicate what they believe. The name of the video was Why Men Push Good Women Away. And I think the organization was Spiritual Word. They published it. They have 2.5, 2.6 million viewers, or subscribers, followers. And so a lot of people came in contact with me today that had never come in contact with me before. However, I don't get out of character because I know how to communicate. All right. And so what I want to say to you, people, let's talk about people who get attacked. Just much like they were saying about me. I don't see it as attack. I see it as haters that I need. But how do you tell a person to communicate when they are, I guess, being attacked? When they and yeah, that no sugarcoating that. Just they're being attacked. What do you tell them to do?
I think it really depends on the person. And I think it depends on right. If you're talking about something really very visible, like what you're describing, then I would approach it a little bit differently. But let's say you're having a public argument or something like that, a disagreement with your partner.
Sure.
The first thing that I ask people to do is, one, first of all, make sure that you're listening, right?
Okay.
Even if you don't agree with them, I always find it easier to empathize. I can understand why you might see that from your perspective. Or like you said, I respectfully disagree. And so you can then let them know, hey, look, I hear what you're saying. I know why you might feel that way. However, I respectfully disagree. Sometimes the right answer is to say nothing, right? So think about what your intention is before you respond. So for you, Ken, your intention is not to change the person's mind.
True.
Your intention is to invite them to see a different point of view.
True.
Right? And
True.
to engage in a conversation if they are a willing participant to do so. Right? If you were going into it strictly wanting to change their mind and or to incite a riot or, be argumentative, your approach would be so much differently. So
True.
before you respond, what is my intention in responding? Right? The same thing when you don't respond. Are you running? Are you hiding? Or is this the right thing? What do your values say?
Wow. That's good. And you're absolutely right. When you ask yourself, what is your intention? I had to ask myself that question. What is my intention? My intention was never to see if I could get one up on them. It was not that. My intention was not to change them. My intention was actually to acknowledge them for being on the page, even watching, even looking. Okay. And then my intention was to have an intellectual conversation, because everything I do is about conversation. It's about a deeper conversation. Can we discuss? Because a lot of times there are things you and your partner in relationships don't discuss. But those are the things that destroy the relationship. It's not so much the things you discuss, because when you discuss stuff in relationships, if I'm empathetic, I want this to work, even though I don't agree. My wife and I have been through that situation. I may not agree, but because it matters to you, okay, I've got to look at it from another point of view. But when I'm in a situation like this, my whole objective is, listen, let's have dialogue, have deeper conversation. And one particular young lady, all she wanted to do was hurl jokes and insults at me, so other people, so she could get them to rise up, or the people that agreed with her.
Sure.
It was just a rallying cry. But here's what I told her. I said, obviously, if I said something and you don't even know me, if I've said something that's triggered you, this is my thought, that then there's something about you that's hurting. And I said, you don't even know me. You don't have to be on my page. If you spent the energy coming to my page, you spent the energy to type all of this stuff, you taking time out of your day, that means that something is driving you. You don't know me from Adam. And what it is there is an unhealed area inside of you that you need to look at. And a lot of people, I'm like, so that's all I said was, I said, listen, I suggest you get some healing. I suggest, because she was just saying stuff that was, that wasn't really appropriate. And the other side of me, because I do realize I am building a brand too. So I ain't gonna be stupid with it. But anyway, so let me ask you this, Paula. When you've got in your practice, I know, who do you normally work with? I mean, who comes to you?
A lot of women that are entrepreneurs. I work with a lot of female business owners. I also work with a lot of professionals. So I've worked with pharmacists and women that have their doctorates in education. So I'm working with highly educated people. These are not dumb people who don't know how to communicate. I think what's happened is we have this whole new layer of communication and relationships when it comes to the digital world, right? And it's easy for us to mask our communication in whether it's text messages, or looking at things that are really superficial or dumping them. Like we're looking at people's Facebook post or their TikTok or maybe just their photo, and we're making a lot of assumptions about them. And so I think that what's happening is there's this idea that we must have instant gratification because that's what the digital world provides. And unfortunately, that then spills over into the way that we communicate and our expectations of people. For instance, if I text you, you need to respond to me right away. Well, that's not how life works. And that's not how communication works. And you don't want to be held to that standard either. One thing I would like to go back to that you said that I thought was really, really important, because you classified yourself as polarizing. And I think polarizing is a scary word for a lot of people, but it also is synonymous with being authentic and being genuine. You know that you are being yourself when you have a group of people that doesn't agree with you and you have a group of people that does agree with you. So if you don't like the word polarizing and you want to soften it and say genuine, then use that. But just know, because sometimes polarizing is like, oh, Ken can handle that, but I can't handle that, right? But just know that you are not going to be able to make everyone happy in your communication. And on the other side of things, your partner cannot do that either.
That's true. That's true. And I'm a brand guy. And one of the things I tell people about a great brand, it is you're going to have people that love you. A great brand, people that love you, maybe just as many that dislike you. I say, if you think about Lady Gaga, great brand, either you love her, you don't like her. There are all of the brands out there, and what they've decided, the one thing about all of them, they've just decided that they're going to be authentically who they are. And I'm not saying that you need to go around, doing things just to get a rise out of people. I'm not saying that. I'm simply saying be who you are. And those who are in your tribe will come. Those who are not, will repel. I always say you attract as many as you repel, and that's kind of how I look at that. But you can still be effective in your communication with even the ones you repel. So that doesn't absolve you of your responsibility to communicate effectively. That does not.
No, and it
And
comes
so
with practice, right? Like you didn't learn, you weren't all of a sudden one day a master, and you didn't decide today that today's the last day you're going to learn how to communicate better, right? As we evolve as people, as we decide that our values change and our personal like our personal mission and existence for our life changes, so will our communication. So it's really important for us to know that there's always growth here. You're not going to be the same person today that you are tomorrow. You're not the same person today that you were yesterday. And it's just being able to be the best possible you that you can be in this moment. And that does take a little bit of practice. It does take practice over time to be able to communicate well. And even when you are a master at communicating, I'm sure that your wife would say, Ken, that you get it wrong sometimes.
All the time. Hey, listen, if anybody wants to ask, if you want to ask Paula a question, what I'm going to do is put the link. I'm going to put the link in the comment section. And if you want to get backstage, hey, listen, I'll bring you on because she's got.
I'm so excited. Oh my God, this is so fun. You bring people on too?
Oh, yeah.
This
Are you
is
kidding?
amazing. I'm excited.
Are you kidding? Yeah, we do.
This is the
So
real
I'm
deal.
putting the link out there. Boom. I just put the link out. If you've got a question for Paula, please don't hesitate to hit the link, and I'll bring you on. You can ask any question that you want to ask her because she's super, super, super smart and super compassionate and empathetic. I know, and plus she's tough. She's tough too. Now, don't get it twisted. Don't let the smooth taste fool you. You know, because she's tough now.
We will call it the love seat instead of the hot seat. But, you know, if you asked a question, I thought I saw a couple of them. I was trying to scroll up in here earlier.
Yes, let me go back up here.
Don't worry about it. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're like, but my background looks really bad, but I don't have makeup on, but who cares? This is about being authentic. This is about being you, right? There are days where I look like hell and I still go live.
Hey, Cassandra says, you know, she was talking about as an educator. She said, as an educator, it's tough working in a masculine environment with men and speaking your mind. Can you speak to that? I saw it scroll up at one point.
Yeah, I see it now. Yeah, that is a big problem. And particularly a lot of the educators that I work with now, there are strict rules, right? So you're not able to speak your mind in any format, like let alone a relationship with a partner, but in the workplace, you don't get a say. It's stick to this. It doesn't matter what you think. The easiest thing for you to do here is there's always someone who is the opportunity for change. So let's say if you're an educator and you're working at a high school campus, it might not be your administration inside of the school. Maybe they're not the people that you forge a relationship with, but maybe there's a counselor in that school who has the same thought. So in order to create a movement, in order for you to feel more comfortable, in order for you to feel like you can speak up, you have to be the one that does it first, right? Like unfortunately, that's what's going to happen. So find someone to form an alliance with, right? I'm not talking about going and complaining to everybody. I'm saying figure out, is anyone else experiencing this? So get curious. Is anyone else experiencing this? I'm finding it's very difficult for me to say X, Y, and Z, or I'm feeling like X, Y, and Z. Is anyone else experiencing this? That's the start of the conversation. And then if you can't make change or traction within the actual structure and the environment that you have there in that school, then you go to the next level, right? It's that whole, can I talk to your manager thing? Like there's always somebody who can make the change. There's never, ever, ever a situation where the answer is just no. right? If you don't ask, the answer is always no. So just remember
Wow.
that.
Daisy says, how do you speak your mind, even graciously, in a world where disagreeing now equals hate? That is a great question. It's like now if we disagree, you hate me. And you know what? That there's some truth to that.
Yeah. That's it's really sticky, isn't it? I mean, there is so much hate. And I'm not an expert in DEI or, so I can't necessarily speak to that, but I do feel that very deeply. I just got chills because I really do.
Right.
Um, so one, I would say speak your mind in places that feel safest for you. I can't define what safe feels like. Only you can define what safe feels like. And know very clearly what that definition is for you so that you can start small, right? Like you're not going to go stand on a stage with a microphone and start spewing what you think and you feel right away, right?
Right.
You'll eventually get there. You'll eventually be Ken if that's what you aspire to be. But
You probably would want that.
right? You don't want to do that. You want to start small. So understand what makes you feel most comfortable and confident. What are the elements, what are the characteristics of that environment? And then practice in those spaces. That's where you need to practice. Now, when you said graciously, how do you speak your mind graciously? I'm wondering how you're defining gracious because I don't want to define it for you. I have an idea
Right.
of what you mean. You can be kind and direct, right?
Yes. A
You
lot of
can be
people think you
kind and
can't
direct.
be, but you can.
You can. And in fact, you are doing other people a disservice when you are not being direct. When you are circumventing the conversation with false, basically false pretenses and false communication. You are not showing them everything. Now, you're not going to show them 100% of yourself, again, if it's not a space that you feel safe to be in. But seeing all this stuff coming, it's so good. But
I got you. I'll
the
read it.
last thing that I want to say about this is that I think is really important. I always like to say, I do not like to hang around like-minded people. Here's the reason why. Because when we hang
Hmm.
around like-minded people, we all are drinking the same Kool-Aid. Okay?
That's true.
Change does not happen when we are all around everybody who thinks, feels, behaves exactly the way we do. Right? If you go back to what Ken was talking about, where people were challenging him, maybe being spiteful, hateful, aggressive, he approached it from the not how can I change their mind, but how can I hear what they have to say, but also invite them to hear what I have to say? That's a conversation, right? A conversation and communication is two-way. It's also not just what comes out of our mouth, it's actually what we hear here. So active listening and nonverbal communication, which is what 70% of the way that we communicate, is really, really important. So make sure that you're hitting all of those things before you start making assumptions about other people. When you put yourself in spaces with people who do not agree with you, if you approach it the right way, if you listen to them, if you get curious, if you ask the right questions, and if you can empathize with them, not agree with them, empathize with them and their perspective, you are more likely to elicit some sort of change and feel more confident communicating with them.
Wow. Amazing. Okay. All right. So we have a couple of questions. I wanted to go back. All right. And one of the questions was, Valerie, our resident, she's smart. Valerie's in one of my groups. She says, can you approach it as help me understand conversation when you're approaching something? She
Oh,
won't.
yeah. Um, I don't I like to think of this not as like help me understand because you're still asking them to do you a favor. I think it's your responsibility to ask the questions to try to understand,
So
right?
how would you approach that? What would you use? What words would you use instead?
Yeah.
Instead of help me understand.
Yeah. So, because that's about me, right? So, could you explain,
Okay.
right? Could you be more specific?
Okay.
Could you
All right.
provide more details? Could you be
Okay.
more clear?
And that's
Right?
direct. That's very direct.
Right. And you're making it about them. You're not making it about you.
Wow. All right. Lakeisha says, I think it's she says, Hello, Ken and Paula. Just met a man and things are going great, but I'm shy and I don't talk much. Well, let me answer that one. Number one, um, I wish you were in my class that what I just had, but that's why I'm creating this program because the truth is when you don't talk much, what you relegate yourself to is a person who does not collect enough data to make an intelligent decision about should I connect with this guy. And y'all, a lot of us, and I've said this many times on my platform. I have this thing called the two C methodology. You collect, then connect. Okay, you collect data, and I taught my group 2 weeks ago. I said collecting data is about having deeper conversations so that we can go deeper so I can find out who you are. So the conversations you and I have had, although I didn't know you last year, yeah, I knew you last year, but you know what I mean, early in the year.
Yeah.
Our conversations have been deeper. Now I know who you are at your core. That was the reason why I was like, hey, do this interview with me because I know what your core values, the alignment of them, what they are. And most times we get enamored with the feeling of the person. Then we get in love with the possibility. I call it, it's not reality, it's fantasy of what this could be. And so what I would say to you, Lakeisha, is simply this, is be willing to ask the questions that are circulating in your head. You don't have to ask them all. Start with one. And what one does, your subconscious programming actually sees you asking it. And then it will be okay to ask another question. But you have to start with one. And that's just my take on it.
I think sometimes when people say they're shy, it's also self-conscious. So, Lakeisha, I would just ask yourself, are you being shy? So, for instance, are you not the one asking the questions or starting the conversation and you're waiting on your partner to, and congratulations on meeting man. But if you're waiting on him to start every conversation, that can become incredibly exhausting, right? Because it becomes a very one-sided relationship. So how can you empower yourself to be something other than shy? So go back to that list of 5 things that you are and lean into those instead of proclaiming that you're shy, because I would bet that you're really strong in a lot of areas that you're not giving yourself credit for right now. And you're focused on being shy and maybe not having the right things to say when you probably have some really great things to say. You're just not getting them out of your mouth right now.
Amazing. Wendy says, how do you speak your mind when you are dealing with an individual that seems to have narcissistic tendencies? They always feel you're poking them when you don't agree with them. When they become a victim, I guess they become a victim afterwards. What say you?
Yeah. So I'm not a therapist, but I've dealt with my fair share of narcissists. And the best thing that you can do when it comes to a narcissist is just answer the question. So if they're not asking a question that you would respond to and you feel like you're being gaslit, don't answer it. Just be very, very, I just say short and to the point. Don't elaborate. Don't be overly emotional. Just answer the question. And if there is no question to answer, don't respond.
Right. Okay. All right. Vivian says, hello. In a very complicated relationship, but how long should one wait to approach a matter in order not to create conflict or argument? I'm gonna let you take that. I have. Go ahead.
Why? I mean, why are you waiting? That would be my first question. You know,
what? She just told you.
Did she just?
She says in order to avoid a conflict or argument.
I mean, it's eventually going to happen, right? So why would it create? I mean, first of all, okay, I'm going to back the truck up here for a second. There is overlap in conflict and conversation and you thriving and your relationship thriving. Okay. That is so important for you to know. The most important magical things are born out of conflict. right? Not out of sunshine, unicorns, and rainbows, right? But out of conflict, because that's where transformation happens. Conflict doesn't mean that you're yelling and screaming and arguing with one another. Okay. It just means that you're approaching a situation and saying, this is something that doesn't sit well with me. And here's the reason why. I want to address it with you so that we can work on this together. Right. You need to share your perspective in order for them to understand. They're not a mind reader, right? You wouldn't expect them, or you wouldn't expect that you could read their mind either. So being sure that you are approaching it from the perspective of, I've seen this happen once, I've seen this happen twice. It's time for me to talk about it. Otherwise, it just snowballs into something out of control. Do you agree with that, Ken? How would you approach it?
So here's my take on it. I agree with what you said, but my thing is, if you're avoiding an argument or conflict, I have to ask again, why? Just like that, what are you attempting? You want to be accepted so badly that you will diminish yourself, because what you're doing is, when you don't say it, you're diminishing yourself. And because you're diminishing yourself, no one should ever diminish themselves to be with someone else. And part of diminishing yourself is not saying what it is you believe. And people don't see it that way until they see it that way. Until what they've done is they withheld information to one day they wake up and don't know the person in the mirror, because they've morphed, they've changed, and they've become someone else, not the person. And so what you've done is diminish who you are to be with this person. And a person should never do that, because ultimately you will lose yourself in the process.
And we're right back at authenticity, aren't we?
It's right back
where
at
we started.
Right back where we started. All right, let me take one more. Paula, I appreciate you
Oh my gosh, this is
for
so
coming
fun.
through and lending your expertise and adding value to these people. So let's see. Cassandra says, I have found that strategy, straightforward, and answering the question with narcissists works well.
It does.
And I try to only have those conversations with another person present, if in person, present, and I will try to in person, or else do it in writing, so there's a tracking digital proof of what is happening. I super agree.
I agree with you too. You can suck the emotion right out of it when you're writing it down.
Yes, you do. Right. So listen, thank you, Paula. I can't wait till we're gonna use parts of this inside the program, and I can't wait till we do what we do, and we're gonna be working together, and you're gonna be helping a whole bunch of people like you already do. I just want to add more to your plate. How about that?
Oh my gosh, I love this. First of all, I love you. I think you're amazing.
Oh.
I'm so grateful to be just connected with you and have you in my circle. And I'm so grateful for every single one of you that took your time out to spend with Ken and I this evening. That means a lot to me. So thank you for being here. Thanks for taking the time. It means a lot. And it says a lot about you that you want to improve your communication and that you want to be in integrity and honest with yourself, right? Your truth is your personal anthem.
Right. Thank you so much. And tell your husband, thank you for allowing me to lending this wonderful woman to me just for the last hour. So thank you so much. I do appreciate you. And listen, we'll talk soon. And we're going to roll. All right.
All right, everybody. Have a great night. Thank you so much.
All right. I will see. Let me see what I'm going to do. Okay. All right. Hang out backstage for a second.
You got it.
All right, y'all. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Isn't she just dope? Isn't she dope, dope, dope? All right, y'all. Thank you. I appreciate you all for hanging out, because you could be anywhere in the world. And you were here with us tonight. Look, I'm going to be bringing you a whole bunch of people just like her. They're going to be different in their own right. Each one of them wonderful in their own right. And listen, stay tuned, because you guys know I want to empower people. And y'all try that test tonight. 5 adjectives that describe you. That make you think, though. It made me think. I came up with 5, though. I came up with a few more than 5. Anyway, y'all, Thank you so much. Guys, I hope you have a wonderful evening. And we are done.